Hey everyone, this is Hafizullah Masoudi and you're watching from Code with Hafiz. I welcome you to the 8th video of this series in which we will cover some more stuff about HTML such as HTML layout, HTML responsive, HTML computer code, and finally HTML semantics. So first of all, let's discuss HTML layout elements and techniques. Now websites often display content in multiple columns, and HTML has several elements that define the different parts of a web page. For example, we have a header element, a nav element, section element, or article, or a site, or footer, etc. And these are all HTML layout elements, and we will cover more about them later in this video while discussing HTML semantics. So for now, using the layout elements alone is not enough to build an HTML layout. So we need HTML layout techniques along with elements to implement a nice layout for our HTML documents. So as for HTML layout techniques, there are 4 different approaches that we can use to create multi-column layouts, and each technique has its pros and cons. So the techniques are using CSS frameworks, CSS float property, CSS flexbox, or a CSS grid. So if you want to create your layout fast, you can use CSS frameworks like Bootstrap or Tailwind CSS or any other CSS framework that's available in the internet. And you can create responsive layouts for your web page using these frameworks. Now next up, you can use CSS float property to create a layout, which is common to create a layout for a web page, which is common to use while creating a layout for a web page. And float is easy to learn. You just need to remember how the float and clear properties work. And the disadvantages of using CSS float is that floating elements are tied to the document flow, which may harm the flexibility of your web page. So I will not create a layout right now because that is something related to CSS and I don't want to confuse you. So for now, let's only focus on what options do you have to create a nice HTML layout, and then you can choose the right one for your web page and start working. Now next up, we have CSS flexbox layout, which ensures that elements behave predictably when the page layout must accommodate different screen sizes or different display devices. And finally, we can use the CSS grid layout that offers a grid-based layout system with rows and columns, and it makes easier to design web pages without having to use floats or positioning. So again, in here we won't cover CSS topics because the main objective of this course is for you to learn HTML completely, and this was something related to HTML and CSS both. So as for important information, you have these options to create a nice layout for your HTML documents. Now next up, we have HTML responsive web design, which is about creating web pages that should look good on all devices. So a responsive web design will automatically adjust itself for different screen sizes and viewports. So what is responsive web design? Well, it is using HTML and CSS to automatically resize, hide, shrink, or enlarge a website to make it look good on all devices. For example, desktops, tablets, and phones, etc. Now related to the responsive web design, I have only showed you the viewport meta tag, which was in our previous video, and it relates creating a responsive website. So to show you again, let's get back to the text editor, and in here you can see we have this meta tag with the name of viewport and width which is equal to device width, and initial scale 1.0, which declares the zooming level when our web page is loaded in the browser. Now of course, this meta tag only is not enough to control the display of everything within our web page, and again, for this to accomplish, we need to use HTML along with CSS to create a completely responsive web design. So in CSS we have height, width, along with margins, paddings, and for responsive on all devices or screens, we have media queries in CSS3, and so on and so forth. So this was important to know, that you have to learn CSS also after learning HTML to create beautiful responsive websites. So for a responsive web design, we can use CSS frameworks also, like Bootstrap or Tailwind CSS or any other framework. Now the next topic that we have is HTML computer code elements. So HTML contains several elements for defining user input and computer code. So the first one that we have is the code element itself, which is used to define a piece of computer code, and the content inside this tag will be displayed in the browser's default monospace font. So to show you an example, let's remove all the code from the head section, or let's leave this one, but what I will do is I will remove these other extra tags in the body. And to show you an example of the code element, let's create a paragraph first and close it, and in here let's say computer code, and after that let's declare our code element. So let's close it, and in here let's say x should be equal to 5, y should be equal to 6, and z should equal to x plus y, and that's all. And if you get back to the browser now, and if I refresh, now you can see this is written like a computer code. Now you had noticed that the code element does not preserve extra white spaces and line breaks. So to fix this, we can use a tag that you already know about, and that is using the pre-tag. So let's get back to our text editor, and what we can do is grab our code element inside a pre-tag. So let's first create a pre-tag and close it, and now let's bring this one inside it. So I will cut it and paste it here. Well, let's also indent it a little bit for clean code. And if we get back to the browser now, refresh, now you can see is being shown as it is written. Now of course it will preserve all the white space that we have in here in our code, so keep that in mind. So next we have the KBD element for keyboard input, and the content inside this tag will be displayed in the browser's default monospace font. So to show you this one, let's press enter here, and let's create a paragraph first, and let's close this. And in here what I will do is, let's say save the document by pressing Ctrl plus S. Now this Ctrl plus S is suppose a keyboard input, so let's grab it in KBD, and in here let's also close KBD. So if we save this now, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see it's showing Ctrl plus S as keyboard input. Now let's remove the style sheet link to our document, because we don't want this color for the paragraphs. So let's get back to the text editor, and what I will do is remove, or let's comment it guys in case we need it in the future. So dash dash, and let's close the comment tag. Now next up what we have is the samp element, which is used to define sample output from a computer program, and the content inside is displayed in the browser's default monospace font. So to show you an example of this one, let's press enter here, and let's create another paragraph tag, and inside here let's suppose we want a sample, so let's open it, and let's also close this tag, and inside this tag let's say file not found, and let's put a BR, and then let's say press, for example, F1 to continue, Alright, so let's get back to the browser, refresh. Now you can see it's a computer program message. Now next up we have the var element, which is used to define a variable in programming or in a mathematical expression, and the content of this tag will be typically displayed in italic. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor and let's press enter here, and let's say we want to create a paragraph and close it, and inside here let's say the area of a triangle is 1.2 x, and let's create a variable. So let's close it, and in here let's say b, and in here let's say x, and let's create another variable and let's say var, and in here let's say h, and let's say comma where variable b. So let's say var, let's close it, and inside here let's say variable b. So variable b is the base, and variable let's say h is the vertical height. Now this is an example to show you the real effect of var element. So let's get back to the browser, and if I refresh now, you can see each of our variable is in italic. So these are all variables. So this was all about HTML computer code, guys, and now finally we have the HTML semantics, from which some of these elements were mentioned in the beginning of this video while discussing the HTML layout. So semantic elements mean elements with a meaning. So these elements can clearly describe its meaning to both the browser and the developer. So now we have non-semantic elements like div and span, which tells nothing about its content, and then we have semantic elements like form, table, article, which clearly defines its content by its name. So many websites contain HTML code like div with an ID of nav, or div with an ID of header, or div with an ID of footer to indicate a navigation, header and footer. But in HTML there are some semantic elements that can be used to define different parts of a web page. So for header we can have a header element, for navigation bar we can have the nav element, and for footer we can have the footer element. Simple as that. Now let's discuss some of the important semantic elements you could see in most web pages. Like the first one that I want you to know about is the section element, which defines a section in a document, so it can be used along with the heading to display chapters, introductions, news items, contact information, etc. So we can normally split a web page into sections to organize our HTML code. Now let's show you an example. So let's get back to our text editor, and what I will do is remove this computer code elements, and let's create a section element. So section, let's close this, and inside here let's create an h1. So in here let's say example heading 1, and let's create a paragraph, and let's close it. And for the text of the paragraph, what I will do is grab something from the internet. So let's open a new tab and let's search for lorem ipsum, and let's go to this first link. So let's copy this paragraph from here, guys, and let's paste it inside the p tag. And what we can do is now copy this section and create another one. So let's create it, and for this one let's say example heading 2. And if we get back to the browser now and go to project tab, now you can see we have our nice sections. Now next up we have HTML article element, which specifies independent or a self-contained content. So we can use the HTML article element for forum posts, blog posts, user comments, product cards, newspaper articles, etc. So to show you an example of this one, let's get back to the text editor, and to create some articles, let's press enter here, and in here let's open our article tag and let's close it. So article, and inside here let's say we want an hdo. So for this one let's say Google Chrome, and in here let's create a paragraph. So let's close it, and inside here we want some text. So let's copy text from here, guys. So I will copy this one and paste it here, and now what we can do is copy this article and paste it a couple of times. So now we have 3 articles. Now for the second one, let's say Mozilla Firefox, and for the third one let's say Microsoft Edge. Now let's save this, get back to the browser, and now you can see we have our nice 3 articles. Now next up we have the HTML header element, which represents a container for introductory content or a set of navigation links. So a header element typically contains one or more heading elements, logo or icon, authorship information, etc. Note that we can have several header elements in one HTML document also. However, header cannot be placed within a footer, address, or another header element. So keep that in mind. Now let's create a header element. So let's get back to the text editor, and to create a header element let's scroll to the top, and in here what we can do is we can open a header element and we can close it, and inside here let's create an h1. So let's close it, and for the text of the h1 let's say, for example, let's say example heading, and let's create a paragraph, and in here let's say heading description. Now if we save it, get back to the browser, and now you can see we have our example heading, and we also have the heading description. Now next up we have the HTML footer element, which defines a footer for a document or a section, and it typically contains authorship information, copyright information, contact information, sitemap, back to top links, related documents, etc. So we can have several footer elements also in one document if we want. So to declare a footer, let's get back to the text editor, and we can declare the footer at the very end of our body. So in here let's open a footer element and let's close it, and inside here let's create a paragraph. So p tag, and in here let's say author, and let's say John Doe, and let's press enter here. Let's create another paragraph, and inside here let's create an anchor tag. Let's close it also, and for the href let's say hash for now, and for the text let's say John at example.com. Now if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, and if you scroll down, now you can see we have our footer element. Now next up we have the HTML nav element, which defines a set of navigation links. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and we can create it after the header, and I noticed that I didn't have closed the header tag correctly. So let's put the sign of a greater in here, and now let's press enter, and let's create a nav element, and let's close it. And for this one what we can have is some kind of links. So let's create a link, and for the href let's say for now HTML, and in here let's say HTML, and we can copy this, paste it a couple of times. So for this one let's say CSS, and for this one let's say JavaScript, so JavaScript, and for this one let's say PHP. Now if we save this, get back to the browser, and if we refresh, now you can see we have our nice nav element. Now next up we have the HTML aside element, which is used to define some content aside from the actual content, like a sidebar. So the aside content should be indirectly related to the surrounding content. Now to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and we can create it after the nav. So let's press enter here, and let's say aside, and yeah, we also have an E here, and let's close it. So aside, and inside here let's create a paragraph, for example, and for this one we can also paste some paragraph. So let's paste it here, and that's all for the aside. So if you go to the browser now, refresh, now you can see this is the aside element. Now to show you more clearly the aside element, let's get back to the text editor, and what I will do is write some CSS code. So in here let's put our style tags. So style, let's close it, and inside here let's say aside, curly braces, and let's say width should be 30%, and let's say padding hyphen left should be 15 pixel, for example, and let's also margin left 15 pixel, and let's float it to the right, and let's say font hyphen style should be italic, and let's declare a background color. So background hyphen color should be light gray. And if we save this now, get back to the browser and refresh, now you can see we have a nice aside element. Now finally what we have is the figure and fig caption elements to specify self-contained content like illustrations, diagrams, photos, code listings, and etc. So we can define a caption for a figure element, and then place the fig caption element as the first or as the last child of a figure element. So let's create an actual image illustration. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and let's create it at the very top for you to see better. So let's create it in here. So let's create a figure element, let's close it, and inside here what we can have is an image. So for the source, let's say, I think we have the base element. Yeah, we have the base element, so we can just say in here 1.jpg, and let's declare a width also. So let's say 500 pixels, and let's say alt should be image. And now we can have a figure caption. So let's say fig caption, and let's close it. So fig caption, and in here we can use now a caption. So let's say fig 1, and let's say it could be, for example, some example image. Now if we save this, get back to the browser, and if I now refresh, now you can see we have a nice caption for the image. Now this being done, our video has come to an end, and you learned about HTML layout, HTML responsive, HTML computer code elements, and HTML semantic and non-semantic elements. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If so, don't forget to give the thumbs up and a nice comment also. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe too if you want more videos like this. So thanks for watching, and see ya in the next video.